friends, once again welcome to my YouTube channel Spark. Today we are going to discuss about psychoanalytic theory of personality, which is coming under the topic theories on personality of unit 2. And theories of personality, which includes psychoanalytic theory of personality, behavioral theories and humanistic theories as per our syllabus. But today we are going to discuss about only psychoanalytic theory of personality and other theories which we are going to discuss in upcoming videos. So today we have to discuss about the conscious and unconscious mind, the id, ego and superego, life and death instincts, psychosexual development and defense mechanisms. All these are important aspects of psychoanalytic theory of personality. So we can move to the session. Before moving to the theory, we can just discuss about what personality is. Actually, the term personality comes from the Latin word persona or a mask that people present to the outside world. So we can say personality as a mask that a people present to the outside world. But for the psychologist, they see personality as much more than outward appearances. And we can say personality is a pattern of relatively permanent traits and unique characteristics that render some consistency to a person's behavior. And there are theories about personality which can be grouped into those which emphasize traits, dynamic process, learning and conditioning, or the humanistic perspective. And we have discussed some more theories in the upcoming videos. And today we are going to discuss about psychoanalytic theory of personality. As you all know, Sigmund Freud in the year 1856 to 1939. He was an Austrian neurologist and a founder of psychoanalysis. So, the founder of this theory is Sigmund Freud, and a moment that popularized the theory that unconscious motives control much of our behavior. And Freud's understanding of human personality was based on his experience with patients, his analysis of his own dreams, and his vast readings in various sciences and humanities. So now we can discuss about Freud's levels of mental life. According to Freud, the mental life is divided into three levels, that is unconscious, preconscious and conscious. So what is unconscious level of mind? The unconscious contains all those drives, urges or instincts that are beyond our awareness, but that are nevertheless motivate most of our words, feelings and actions. For example, slip of tongue, dreams and wishes. So unconscious level of mind is which contain all the drives, urges or instincts that are beyond our awareness. So then what is preconscious and conscious mind? A preconscious level of mind which contains all those elements that are not conscious but can become conscious either quite readily or with some difficulty. There are certain facts stored in a part of brain and which are not conscious but are available for possible use in the future. For example, a person will never think of on mobile number at the moment, but when a friend asks for it, she can easily recall it. And next is conscious level of mind, and it can be defined as those mental elements in awareness at any given point in time, and it is the only level of mental life that are directly available to us. So in the conscious level of mind, here the mental elements are in awareness at any given point of time. For example, our thoughts, feelings, like that. So next we can discuss about Freud's structure of personality. The structure of personality consists of three parts, and this division of mind into three provinces helped Freud to explain mental images according to their functions and purposes. So the structure of personality consists of three parts, which is id, ego and superego. We can discuss each part in detail. First is the id. It is driven by the pleasure principle, so we can say it is a pleasure principle and which strives for immediate gratification of all desires, wants and needs. And so we can say the id operates on the pleasure principle. That means seek pleasure and avoid pain. And we can say that I want what I want now. And if these needs are not satisfied immediately, the result is the state anxiety or tension. And in the it has two major instincts, life instinct and death instinct. Life instinct is known as eros and death instinct is known as thanatos. In life instinct, we can say that instincts that deal with basic survival, pleasure and reproduction. But the death instinct or thanatos, which is unconscious desire to die. So these are the two major instincts of it, that is life instinct eros or death instinct thanatos. So next we can discuss about ego and the superego. Ego, it is the only region of the mind in contact with reality. So we can say it is a reality principle and which strives to satisfy its desire in a realistic and a socially appropriate way. So what ego is doing is satisfying its desire in a realistic and socially appropriate ways. And we can say that it acts as a mediator between it and superego. Next is superego. Superego represents moral and ideal aspect of personality. So we can say superego as a morality principle. And it is a moral part of our personality and which internalized rules of parents and our society. And we can say superego consists of two parts, that is conscience and ego ideal. Conscience is a notion of right or wrong. And ego ideal is how we ideally like to be. So we can say superego is the aspect of personality that holds of our internalized moral standards and ideals that we acquire from both parents and society. And according to Freud, the superego begins to emerge at around age 5. Next we can discuss about Freud's psychosexual development. In Freudian theory suggests that as children develop, they progress through a series of psychosexual stages. And each stage has a pleasure-seeking energy that is focused on different part of our body. And the successful completion of each stage leads to healthy personality as an adult. However, if a conflict remains unresolved at any particular stage, and the individual might remain fixated or stuck. And a person became fixated or stuck in a stage when a basic need is not met. Therefore, that person will face difficulty in transiting to another stage. Now, we can discuss Freud's each stage of psychosexual development. First is oral, that is 0 to 1 years. The oral stage is the first period occurring during the first year of life. And in this period, the infant achieves gratification through oral activities such as feeding, thumb sucking, like that. And in the fixation, if a child is overstimulated in this stage, as a result, she or he may be dependent on cigarette, alcohol, like that. Next comes the anal stage lasting from approximately age 1 to age 3. Here the child learns to respond to some of the demands of the society such as bowel and bladder control, toilet training. In the fixation we can see orderliness, messiness, like that. Next is phallic stage which follows the interest focusing on genitals. In this stage child learns to realize the differences between males and females and become aware of sexuality. And the major development of this stage is Oedipus and Electra complex. Oedipus complex in males and Electra complex in female. The boy will have the desire to possess his mother and displace his father, and the girl will want to possess the father and remove her mother. Then follows the latency period lasting until puberty. In the latency period, the child continues his or her development but sexual urges are relatively quiet. And the major development of this stage is developing defense mechanisms, and no fixation occur as the child's energy are focused on peer activities and personal mastery of learning and physical skills. And the last stage is genital stage, that is after puberty. People move into genital stage. It's a period of mature sexuality. In this period, the growing adolescence shakes off old dependencies and learn to deal maturely with the opposite sex. And they improve their personal identities and develop caring feeling towards others, establish loving and sexual relationship and progress in successful career. It's all about Freud's stages of psychosexual development. Now we can discuss about defense mechanism. The term defense mechanism was first used by Sigmund Freud in his paper Neuropsychosis of Defense in the year 1894. And later, Anna Freud has developed the ideas given by Freud and elaborated them. And in his psychoanalytic theory, Freud explained a defense mechanism is a tactic development by ego to protect against anxiety. So, he says that defense mechanism is a tactic development by ego to protect against the anxiety. So, a defense mechanism is an act or technique of coping mechanisms that reduce anxiety generated by threats from unacceptable or negative impulses. And basically, this process is usually unconscious. In Freudian psychoanalytic theory, defense mechanisms are psychological strategies brought into play by the unconscious mind to manipulate or deny or distort reality in order to defend against feelings of anxiety and unacceptable impulses to maintain one's self-schema. Here we are going to discuss some of the important defense mechanisms. There are some more defense mechanisms, so you have to read that in detail. So we can discuss what is repression. Actually, repression is an unconscious mechanism employed by the ego to keep disturbing or threatening thoughts from becoming conscious. For example, during the Oedipus complex, aggressive thoughts about the same sex parents are repressed. So it is an unconscious mechanism employed by the ego to keep disturbing or threatening thoughts from becoming conscious. Next is denial. Denial involves blocking external events from awareness. If some situation is just too much to handle, the person just refuses to experience it. For example, smokers may refuse to admit to themselves that smoking is bad for their health. And next is projection. This involves individuals attributing their own unacceptable thoughts, feelings and motives to another person. For example, you may hate someone, but your superego tells you that such hatred is unacceptable. So, you can solve the problem by believing that they hate you. Next is displacement. It is satisfying an impulse, for example, aggression, with a substitute object. Here we can say someone who is frustrated by his or her boss at work may go home and express it with their loved ones. Next is regression. This is a movement back in the psychological time when one is faced with stress. For example, a child may begin to suck their thumb again or wet the bed when they need to spend some time in hospital. And the next is sublimation. It is satisfying an impulse, for example, aggression, with a substitute object in a socially acceptable way. Sport is an example for putting our emotions, that is aggression, into something constructive. It's all about some important defense mechanisms. To conclude, Sigmund Freud is well known for the development of psychoanalysis or psychoanalytic theory of personality, And the theory of psychoanalysis is emphasized on unconscious thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And ego, superego are the three levels of mind, and each has different functions. And the theory suggests that children are developed through series of psychosexual development, and we can see a defense mechanism that are the another important aspect of psychoanalysis. So it's all about today's session. So I hope this session will be meaningful for you for your preparation. And if you have any suggestion, please give me a comment. For the next session, I would like to discuss you with two other important theories, that is behavioral theories and humanistic theories of personality. So don't miss my next video. And if you have not yet subscribed my channel, please do subscribe. And please refer my channel to your friends and keep support me. See you on next video. Bye.